Hi, I'm Antonio Centeno. I'm the founder of Real Men, Real Style. Today I'm going to be speaking with you about 5 business mistakes that I see business owners, executives, people that are running companies that are trying to realize their dream. They keep making these mistakes again and again, and I know it's holding them back. It's stopping them from creating great companies, or from they're launching projects and they're spending a lot of money and they're failing. And I just want to make sure that you understand and you do not make these 5 mistakes. So before I get into this, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel. By doing that, these videos come right to you. In addition, if you like this, if you find it useful, I would appreciate it if you click on the like button. And if you've got something to add, if you like videos like this, leave me a comment in the comment section. Okay, so mistake number 1 is people start a company, they start a project, and they do not have an unfair advantage. What do I mean by that? Well, okay, so I know some of you guys get projects handed to you and you have to execute. Not really talking about that, but I'm talking people that have a bit of freedom and they're going to go out there and start a company, and they go just out there and they start something with hard work and passion. And people tell me that this is their unfair advantage. I'm going to work harder than anyone else, or I'm going to burn the midnight oil. That's great. That will help you, but that's not an unfair advantage. Let me use an example of an unfair advantage. I just started a business called High Speed Low Drag. I did this with a gentleman named John Lee Dumas. He runs the website Entrepreneur on Fire. Another gentleman I'm working with, Tom Morkis. He's over at Insurgent Publishing. All 3 of us are military veterans. We're targeting military veterans. Our business is about helping military veterans transition out of the service and into the civilian sector. Do you see my unfair advantage? Only 1% of the United States population actually serves in the military. Therefore, 99% of people do not have the unfair advantage that we have in a sense, being able to understand this target customer, being able to understand their needs, their wants, their desires. So that is an unfair advantage. There are other unfair advantages that many of you guys have and you don't even think about. The fact that perhaps I was just speaking with a woman the other day, and she actually has a background where her family's from Haiti. She's a woman entrepreneur. Those are things which others can't replicate, and she can use to her advantage to form connection, to form trust. That's what business is built off of. I've got one guy who's just recently applied for one of my programs, and I'm looking at him. He's talking about going from being a firefighter, and he just finished a massage school. Now, I don't know why he's making this transition, but I do know that he spent 10 years as a firefighter, and that gives him a unique advantage. He's going into a female-dominated industry. It's very similar for what I'm in the style industry. Mostly it's women in this industry, and I'm finding, and I know he will find, that you can use that as an unfair advantage. The fact that he comes from as a firefighter, I'm immediately thinking, okay, so you've got a massage therapy degree, or you've gone to school for this, and so you understand, different ways to stimulate, muscle tissue and all this other stuff, and you have this firefighting background. Well, think about it. Firefighters, especially those that have been injured, or those that are overstressed or having problems relieving stress, here's a guy that understands that and understands the problems that probably are similar with police officers as well, military as well. So imagine someone that could put out information talking about massage therapy for those specific groups, which he has an unfair advantage for. Do you see it? Okay, so number 1, have that unfair advantage. Number 2, know that your degree, that MBA, that BBA, that, I don't know, PhD, it really doesn't impress the market. So lose the mentality that your degree somehow makes you better and is going to just have business brought to your door. Now, I'm saying this as a guy with an MBA from a top school. That's cool. I'm very proud of what I did there, but I can't rely on that, and you can't rest on your laurels. A lot of people I see, they attach all of this stuff to their name, and it may give them just a little bit of a head start, but for many people, it's like, okay, well, I probably can't afford this person. The only thing a college degree or that formal education that you paid a lot of money for guarantees most of us is student debt. It does not guarantee you a job, does not guarantee that you're going to be able to do the job better. And it's one of those things that, again, do not rest on your laurels. Do not think that you have this fancy degree, that it's going to, in a sense, pre-qualify you. The only place that's ever worked out for me, I think, is in the military, because technically to become an officer, I had to have a degree. But I'm a big fan, and I've seen this in the last 10 years, of online education. It started off initially, with just, maybe audiobooks, and audiobooks probably going back 40 or 50 years. I mean, I remember growing up in West Texas, and we were listening to, Zig Ziglar and some of this other stuff that my parents were listening to. But let's get into the now. Now, podcasting on iTunes, incredible. John Lee Dumas over at Entrepreneur on Fire, who I've mentioned before, but Andrew Warner over at Mixergy, David Simon Garland over at The Rise to the Top, the guys over at Fizzle, Omar over at $100 MBA. These are amazing, and in many cases, free online educational resources that I personally have used Mixergy. I mean, I have learned, I would have to say that my online education from Mixergy is probably worth more than the MBA I got from Texas. So don't rely on that. Instead, always be seeking out to sharpen your sword. You guys heard the story about the guys that were in the forest, and you've got two guys that are cutting trees at the same time. One of them, he's not taking a break. He's cutting trees for 12 hours a day. The other guy, every hour for 10 minutes, stops, sits on a stump. Who do you think cut more trees? The guy that stopped and sat on the stump for 10 minutes. Because he wasn't just sitting there, resting. What he was really doing is sharpening his axe. So the other guy, by 2 hours into the day, he had a very dull blade, and he was not cutting as fast or as accurately as the gentleman who was taking time every day to sharpen his axe. Make sure you're doing that in business. Another thing, seek out mentors, seek out coaches, seek out people who have walked the path in front of you and can show you the way. I've already mentioned audiobooks, but don't forget real books. Yes, those things that seem a bit outdated. But there's a big difference from reading a 1,000-word article or 2,000, 3,000-word article online versus reading a 100,000-word book that has been a classic, has been around for a long time, and has, in a sense, stood up to the test of time. Competitive Strategy by Michael Porter. I think it's Harvard Business School Press. That's an amazing book written in the 1980s, but still applicable to anyone today. Okay, so number 3, stop seeking investment. I see, and I judge on the Venture Lab investment competition down at the University of Texas. I've gone down there and looked at dozens and dozens and dozens of companies seeking investment. I can tell you that the vast majority of those companies do not need investment. When you seek investment, when you should seek it is when you want to go faster. You've already got your business model set up. In a sense, you could grow organically, but you want investment because investment equals speed. Let me be very clear. More money into your company shouldn't be to fund research. It shouldn't be to explore new ideas. It shouldn't be to test a business model. Money into your company should be to take an existing business model, which can work, and accelerate you. The only exception, and there are a few exceptions, but like a medical device company, if you have to do all the research in a sense, and you've got the people, those type of companies I can see. If you're targeting or you're creating that type of drugs, or you're creating some type of medical device, and you need actually, for that infrastructure here in the United States or maybe in another country, Canada or something, I definitely see where you would need investment there. But that does not describe most people who are trying to start up companies. Most people would be better served if they actually created some sales. Started off, and they play around a little initially with their own money. There's a great book called The Lean Startup, and it talks about actually selling your idea before you build it. So, we see Kickstarter doing this all over the place, Indiegogo and a few others, but it's better for you to play and to lose that $1,000 right now than to lose and play with $100,000 a little bit later. Now, some of you guys may be thinking it's someone else's money, but still it's money, and you lose credibility, you lose trust if you lose that much money. Okay, so number 4, solve a problem. Don't solve an annoyance. I see this again and again. People coming up with a new app. Really, the world does not need another fart app. I don't remember who said that, but it's really, you see all these people out there, really very talented people, creating something that's already been created. But, if you have to say that I'm creating the eBay of this, or I'm creating the Netflix of this, really you're not creating any, I mean, you're simply replicating a business model, and you may be able to make a decent sized company. I'm not going to say that's wrong. But where I see great success and where it's the easiest is when you actually identify a burning problem. It's the difference between vitamins and migraine medicine. So if anyone's had a migraine headache, you know that is it's incredibly painful. You will pay a lot of money for a pill that will help solve that migraine pain versus someone, let's say you miss your vitamins one day. Are you going to pay a lot of money to get that extra set of vitamins? No, you'll just wait till the next day. It's an annoyance. It's maybe something that you didn't want to miss, but it is not a painful problem. I get excited about people, believe it or not, that are in the plumbing or the electrical industry and they're trying to solve problems there. Because think about it. If your AC goes out and it's 95 or 100 degrees outside, you're going to figure out a way and you're going to try to get that fixed as soon as possible. If your plumbing is backed up, you're going to try to figure out a way to get that solved. That is literally a problem that that's why plumbers have 24-hour service. But I can tell you there's a lot of opportunity there, because how hard is it, and I went through this, to find a good plumber. I can tell you it's sometimes very difficult to find a plumber who can solve specific problems, especially if you live out in the country and you've got old clay pipes that roots get into. That was my issue a while back. So solve a burning problem. Don't solve an annoyance. The last one, number 5, make sure the numbers work out. I see a lot of people, especially in the clothing industry, maybe starting a company and they haven't done the numbers. They're working hard, they're trying to make it work, but when it comes down to it, what they're trying to do is not going to afford them the lifestyle that they want. My own personal experience is with my custom clothier, a tailored suit. I knew that I was going to have to make certain investments in order to get it to the point where I would have a business that would, in a sense, be able to run without me and that I could sit back. It is a tough industry, the clothing industry. And if you don't do the numbers, if you can't figure out a way to make it work, if you're not charging the right amount, if you're not making the right margins, and you got to go back and you got to check and adjust, but if you don't have the right business model, no matter how much time and effort you put into this, no matter how many 100-hour work weeks, the numbers aren't going to just magically change. So make sure the numbers are right and have the courage to be able to step back and say, I'm going to have to pivot, or I'm going to have to leave this industry. It's okay to choose to do something else. Okay? So hopefully you found this useful. I'm actually going to be talking about this in other places on the internet. So make sure you're on my email list. I'll be announcing other businesses that we're starting up that will go into more details like this if you happen to enjoy this video. If you're a veteran, you should definitely check out High Speed Low Drag. That's where we're covering issues like this in more detail. But take care, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.